Okay, so good afternoon, very good afternoon to you, gentlemen. You're welcome to the party headquarters. And the lady is, of course, the spokesperson of the party, most importantly, as a special message to deliver to you over a variety of issues, but most importantly, those that arose following the successful convening of the teachers' conferences yesterday. Then secondly, you are aware that this coming week will be Zimbabwe's week of solidarity over sanctions. And yesterday, some people were gathered elsewhere, purportedly addressing the media. I don't have to preempt, the spokesperson is here to talk to you about that and other related matters as we move towards Congress. So the Chief Information Sir is here to talk to you, and over to you, Comrade Chief.
Okay. Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press and ladies of the press, the fourth estate, the indispensable arm of governance in any country which aspires to be democratic. You could have been elsewhere, but you felt that you could be here in my office listening to me as the spokesperson of Zanu PF, the part of the Zimbabwe revolution. We really value the fact that you could spare your busy schedule the time to come to Zanu PF and to listen to the developments which are of importance to the people of Zimbabwe, to Zimbabwe as a nation and its diaspora, and to the region, and of course to our global footprint. We have the announcement, the pleasurable announcement that next week is the Congress of our party. This is an elective Congress. It comes once every 5 years, and we will be announcing the new leadership of the ruling party of Zimbabwe, the party of the Zimbabwe Revolution, as well as endorsing and debating and endorsing a manifesto to deepen and widen the economic development agenda, which is delivering so many goodies to the people of Zimbabwe under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the First Secretary and President of Zanu PF, as well as the President of the Republic, and of course his revolutionary party Zanu PF, a part of 60 years of history on the Zimbabwean political scene, a party which has scored one victory after another on behalf of the Zimbabwe people, and which is determined to continue to score even more victories so that the Zimbabwean people can aspire and enjoy their desire, their long-cherished desire for prosperity, because it is the only goal which they want in life, to live a better life. And Zanu PF is determined to fulfill their ideals. So this is an important elective Congress. We are a bottom-up party. We owe it to our historical origins as a national liberation movement which waged a people's war, of people voluntarily sacrificing their lives so that we could have freedom and democracy. So consensus is the DNA of Zanu PF politics. You can't be otherwise than be democratic in Zanu PF, because that's what the people voluntarily chose, even with their lives. To say in Dinofa, it was a self-made choice at individual level. So we cannot depart from that and still be Zanu PF. That's who we are, and that's why our democracy is bottom up. We are a structured party in a structured country, the most structured African country, because you don't win a war unless you become organized and structured. So the the top-down approach to democracy, which is typified by upstarts like the CCC, is anathema to Zanu PF. We are the bottom-up democratic party. It's inconceivable in Zanu PF that an individual can say, I am everything. I am the constitution. I am the policy. I am the program. I am the leader. I am the, everything around centers around you as the leader. You choose candidates in a clandestine manner for parliament. You pronounce on policies. You hide. You run away from a consultative process because you are afraid that if you go there, you may be challenged and your party can break apart. So you hide away from any systems which try to identify you for the generality of the public who you are. You don't want to be identified. You are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in your party, a secret society, which is the CCC. That is not the Zanu PF way of doing things. We do things in a very, very public and consultative manner, which takes due cognizance of the will of the people, because ultimately they are the ones who decide the fate of the nation through the vote. So this is an important Congress, and it will endorse, already it has been done by every structure. We have set up every structure which is important for our party, the historical ones, the Women's League, the Youth League, the main league of the party, and of course the indispensable War Veterans League, those who were the vessels of the party when it was proscribed by the Rhodesians, those who were the prosecutors of the war, which is the People's War, and carried the message of the people through blood and iron during the struggle. They have now been formally constituted into a league, which is a fourth organ of the party. So we have also just done our Central Committee elections, and all these processes cumulatively in a bottom-up approach are leading to the Congress. We make no bones about the fact that we are structured. We don't expect or anticipate surprises in our party because we are a national liberation movement. If you let your vigilance down and you live to be surprised, you may just be surprised by an attack which kills you, which kills the revolution. And we have enemies legion who have never reconciled themselves to the fact that Zanu PF and the people of Zimbabwe delivered something which Africa has never had, a genuine African state apparatus which owes its allegiance to no one except the people of Zimbabwe. And they are scheming day and night wherever they are to say, how can we ambush and upend the Zimbabwean state? How do we take back Zimbabwe? So we can never leave things to fate. We are a vigilant party. That's why we don't work on surprises. That's why we work on consensus, because vigilance is presumed upon collective consciousness identifying a common purpose. That's what vigilance is all about. So this is who we are. That's why some people start commenting from outside of the party about leadership challenges which we don't know about. And they start being spokesperson of people within the party, seasoned cadres of the party. They don't require spokespersons from outside the party like Anatsenengam or Anajim Kunaka. Vana vemusangano, takakura tese tiri musangano. We know each other since we were young. We don't need spokesmen from outside. Kana zvanetsa tinongoridzira namafoni kana kuti toenda kubrai per weekend. Because takabva kure. We were together through battle, through thick and thin, through training, through political education, through all this, in our as young people. We do not need spokespersons from outside of our party, particularly young upstarts wangavane mukaka pamuno wasitangana kutombona kuti hondo yacho yakabva kupi. How dare they want to become spokespersons for a party of seasoned revolutionaries? It's not, we don't countenance that. So we hear ramblings from people who are outside of the party, but we never hear of it within the party because we know each other. And we have a focus, we have a goal, and it's been shared now for more than 6 decades. And it has got so many people who perished along the way. So Tinyararareo and Jim Kunaka and Anaksenengam, don't speak about, if you have no party of yours to speak about, go and sleep. Don't try to become a spokesperson of a party which is not yours. I'm there, the spokesperson of Zanu PF. Imbodi sira with this chi rundo ndiri panyanga musango newoyo. I speak on behalf of Zanu PF and the president knows about it. So please Senegam and Jim Kunaga, spare us the cant, the nonsense about trying to speak on behalf of people within Zanu PF. I speak on their behalf. And I have not heard anything about what they are talking about. So anyway, back to our Congress, it will be an important event, and we are looking, the registration is already going on, the structures are in place, and the people are enthusiastic about coming to the conference. We are coming out of COVID. There's still a lingering fear of COVID. The last time we had our conference, we had to do it virtual because we were afraid of COVID. So as a balance, we have reduced the number of people who will be coming to the conference. So that, but also, we also believe that with the achievements which the president has been scoring on the economic and socio-economic front, a smaller number of people will be much more focused in debating issues about our manifesto, in debating about the achievements which we have scored, but also in charting the future of even more successes by the Revolutionary Party. So we believe that this group is, these delegates who will be coming are for the time the optimal size which we would want so that we can carry out cogent debate on issues which matter to the day-to-day lives of the people of Zimbabwe. So we will be having our conference at the HICC, Harare International Conference Center, and there will be, the theme will be building a prosperous Zimbabwe, leaving no one and no place behind. This is the theme of our conference this year. You saw our president in Matebeleland. He is delving into one of the most contentious issues of our post-war independence, which is the Gukura Undi. And he is doing it in as candid and forthright a manner as can be. And he is taking it right to the grassroots level, because people who may have been victims or who were victims belong to families, they belong to villages, they belong to chiefs and headmen in those areas. These are the people who matter in the issue, and these are the people who needs to be assuaged of any things which may have gone in that unhappy episode in the evolution of the history of Zimbabwe. We have admitted mistakes are made. Countries never chart history in a linear manner. We make missteps, and sometimes they are very painful. I will tell you of a certain country which always wants to pump its chest about its democratic credentials, and it is called the United States of America. They had a terrible civil war soon after independence, the North versus the South, which almost killed a third of their population, if not more. In fact, historically, it was the worst war in history up to that era in terms of deaths and injuries. That's the American Civil War. So we, Zimbabwe, avoided the abyss of a civil war because of our wisdom. We went better than what America went through. So we do not shy away from our warts if they are there. And the president has brought a new approach, a refreshing breeze to the issue of Gukurahundi, and it was there at State House this week when he met all the chiefs from Matabeleland on this issue, from the Midlands on this issue. We are very grateful to those who wish well for this process, the chiefs themselves, Chief Charumbira and his team, apart from the chiefs who came from Matabeleland. But we're also very grateful of well-meaning governments, even from Europe, particularly the Swiss government. This is a country which has been molded out of several nationalities of Europe. The Italians are Swiss, the French are Swiss, the Germans are Swiss, but they all share one flag, and they are ardently patriotic, because over the years they've seen that creed, religion, color, tribe, race, clan do not matter. And it is the Swiss experience which we value when we cherish it as we deal with the Gukurahundi issue. And we are very happy that the Swiss embassy and the Swiss government have come on board to make this process be as palliative as possible, be as healing as possible. This is an attestation, this is of our president's openness, that a country with impeccable democratic credentials like Switzerland is taken in as a preferred partner. We all know that the EU and the Americans never had anything to do with post-traumatic distress and stress of our war of independence. Up to today, they won't touch anything to do with the war veterans of Zimbabwe with a badge pole. They've done so in Namibia, they've done so in South Africa, but they've never done it with Zimbabwe, because the umbrage about the defeat of the Rhodesian cat's paw of the British Imperial Army is too deep from London, from Washington, and from the Western capitals. So they never would want to stretch a healing hand to the Zimbabwean post-independent process, which is even deeper in terms of pain than the Gukurahundi, because it covered the whole population of this country. We have never seen the EU or the Americans do anything about healing the wounds of Zimbabwe since independence. But they never stop hectoring and lecturing us about democracy, about this, about that. They are denialists of reparations, they are denialists of colonialism, they are denialists of racism, they are denialists of apartheid. You know, these people, they simply lack the candor and the honesty and the integrity which is being demonstrated by a country like Switzerland. So we are very happy, and we want it duly acknowledged that Switzerland is doing a fantastic job. And after this event, we are very confident that all the people of Zimbabwe will unite even further, like so that we together march forward as an integrated force to face the challenges of development and overcome all obstacles and deliver victories one after another. So this is the inclusive aspect of the message of our president, which has been borne out by the theme of the Congress, which is building a prosperous Zimbabwe, leaving no one and no place behind. And the prosperity is being demonstrated by what's going on in terms of investments. Never have been combined harvesters so busy trying to beat the October rains as they harvest wheat on a scale unprecedented in the history of modern Zimbabwe since the 60s, when wheat was introduced as a crop in Zimbabwe. We are expecting a bumper crop of wheat. I see people on television boasting of 4 to 5 tons per hectare. These are ordinary people of Zimbabwe who probably knew wheat as a bread in the supermarket. Now they are handling the grain in their fields. What a beauty which the Second Republic is delivering to the people of Zimbabwe. A golden beauty of cereals coming from their hard sweat and the government obliging by supplying combined harvesters in an agricultural program on a scale which has never been done before. This is but one aspect of the prosperity which the Second Republic has been delivering. It's the second crop, staple crop, after we did a similar thing with Fumvudza and maize. And now we hear that even to legumes, so that we have a wholesome diet of protein and carbohydrates. Fumvudza is being extended to legumes, so that we can also, people can produce, so that there's abundance of food. This is the prosperity, food security at national level, which spares us from being constantly hectored and lectured and harangued by NGOs which think it is their duty to feed the people of Zimbabwe. No, we are hardworking, we feed ourselves. Just give us the opportunity, and I will be coming to sanctions later. I'm just coming from Maputo. We are busy. We are busy. We've identified a new port south of Beira. This will be a deep water port with a railway line which will come through Chimanimani Mountains straight to the steel plant in Manise. We are working with our Mozambican brothers so that that historical affinity between Zimbabwe and Mozambique is restored to shared prosperity. We can't continue to travel 2,000 kilometers to Durban for our exports. It's untenable. It's inflationary. So we are going to invest in new ports in Mozambique. This is the seriousness at which investment in Zimbabwe is being viewed by global players. Zimbabwe's assets in mining are exciting some of the top boardrooms of the whole world, the best ones. And not necessarily Americans. This could be Chinese. They are the top in the game. This could be Indians. They've come top in the game because with the shared prosperity, with the shared capital markets, it doesn't have to be New York alone. It doesn't have to be London alone. It doesn't have to be Paris alone. It could be Seoul. It could be Singapore. It could be Shanghai. It could be Mumbai. It could be Istanbul. It could be, this is where we are going as a country. Attracting world-class capital to come and be plied into the Zimbabwean world-class resource base, so that some of the best African minds in terms of education, and you heard the statistics from Zimstat, the director of Zimstat, we still tops in terms of United Nations UNESCO Literacy Index. They just came out recently. These are the minds which will be working on this capital from abroad and locally, on these resources which God gave us. All in all, for made in Zimbabwe goods, quality goods, made in Zimbabwe for the global market. Who has made it possible? Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, Dr. Comrade, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. In a short 4 years, he has turned the economy upside down in a way nobody ever thought. Even our currency is hardening. Those who used to pilfer our currency, he has plugged the holes. Prior to his reforms, vanhu vaienda kutsime kunoteka mvura nembaura, vodzoka kuda kuti vanwe mvura yasi inenge yajuja nemaburi yezvipikiri zvakaboora mbaura. This time he has plugged all the holes yechitini. So the money is staying in here. That's why the US dollar is beginning to become currency. Not because everybody is scrambling for it, but because everybody has got it available. Why? Because the hard work of Zimbabweans is no longer being pilfered. It's no longer being stolen by mobile money networks, which have billionaires who live in London when they don't even own a fish and chips shop there, when they are Zimbabweans. When we have a stock exchange which manipulates people's lives. Now we have the Zimbabwe stock, we have this Victoria Falls stock exchange in hard currency, where you want to trade, you don't manipulate the currency of the country. These are the reforms which are delivering the prosperity which is born by the theme which I have just announced to you. So we are doing well as a country, and we are going to do even better after the conference. We are on course to deliver Africa's first prosperous middle-income country. We have the capacity. We have the marriage between the resources, the natural resources of our country, and the brains of our people. we have that marriage, and we have a capital base which can sustain that, and we have the friends who can help us achieve that. So this is where we are going. We had a wonderful occasion yesterday. You know, social media has been misleading, painting a bad picture of the relationship between the teaching profession, that noblest of professions, the one which makes everybody of you be what you are, including myself, that noblest of profession. It was being said that it is anti-government. Oh, you should have been there yesterday in the Harare International Conference Center. All the auditorium sectors filled to brim, to capacity. Some actually would have even been standing. They came from all over the country voluntarily to come. Teachers are not coerced. Teachers are not coercible. Yes. They are neither coerced nor are they coercible. They came on their own volition to come and express themselves as teachers for economic development, because they are simply impressed by what the president is doing. They can see something which makes their job as teachers exciting, because the young people they are teaching can look for a better life. Teachers produce a product, and they want that product to have a useful purpose in life. So the president has made them feel purposeful by making sure that there is promise for the graduates of their teaching, of their classrooms. And they came in their multitude to come and have communion with the man who is making their job so exciting. Now, I don't know where Newsday takes it from, because they cannot reconcile themselves that their message for so long was false, that the teachers don't want Zanu PF. They put a line that the teachers were forced to come in to be threatened. Ah, come on. No, let's have decency in journalism and respect your teachers. They are not threatenable. No, why do you? Next time, Newsday, you may need to go there to the teaching professions, to their, and they say, why were you lying about us? Then you are chased away by those teachers because you lie about them, because you don't want to report accurately. Please respect the teachers. You may not want our president. It's your free choice. But at least do want the teachers. They are not your enemies. And they are not aspiring for power to State House, which your preferred candidate, Chamisa, is aspiring for. Yeah. Teachers are not in competition with the Chamisa. So why do you want to make it to speak ill about them? Please do respect them. Instead, they were all happy, and the president was most touched. He's a man who has been in the game since he was 19 or so, from the inception of the guerrilla army, when it was a fledgling infant back in the 60s. Never has a man expressed so much emotion in front of such a big crowd, which was before him. He was drained of emotion because of the love which the teachers had shown him. And he was effusive in his praise for the teachers. Clearly, a compact has been struck between our president and the teachers. And the teachers do matter because they shape people's minds. They are natural political commissars. That's why we say to the MDs, to the CCC, don't be on the wrong side of the teachers. They are natural political commissars. You alienate from themselves, you are alienating from their vote. They are influential players in village politics. They are influential players in ward politics in the country. They were here yesterday in their multitude to have a shared communion with President Dr. Emerson Comrade Dambudzo Mnangagwa. That's what we felt so good about yesterday. Yes, we were having this wonderful occasion with our teachers. There is another government, the American government, which cannot countenance the prospect of good things in Zimbabwe. Just like CCC and the attitude of Dirajecha, which was Newsday, the American government, they had a press conference. I was filled with angst listening to that press conference. Here is a country which is my alma mater. I've got 3 university graduation degrees from 2 American universities. I know how the Americans work hard for their country to be what it is. That's why they are top of the world. We have 2 unprepared diplomats coming for a press conference talking about sanctions. They haven't read their stuff. They haven't read even the act upon which they are administering the sanctions. They aren't bothered about the reports from the United Nations organization, which has compiled a compendium condemning sanctions through a rapporteur. And you got to understand who America is in the United Nations. They are the supreme power. They are the biggest contributor to the budget of the United Nations. So at least, if you put your money in the UN, read their documents when they come out, so that when you go to the public, you answer in a manner which is convincing that you take your membership to the United Nations seriously. He comes, I haven't read that document. He's being asked. I mean, you're talking about sanctions on Zimbabwe, and there is a rapporteur report, and you haven't. So why are you coming to the press conference, Mr. Diplomat from America? And you are administering these sanctions. You are asked about the opinion of African heads of states. To a person, they condemned sanctions in the United Nations. The RU has taken a stance. These are the serious players of a continent of 1.3 billion people, which will soon outstrip even China and India, with a young population which is going somewhere. It deserves to be taken seriously. No, you don't care about what their leaders think. You just read from rote, old Rhodesian stuff. Their brief is from their much-loved Zimbabwean, a certain Tendai Biti. What Biti wishes for Zimbabwe is what the American government espouses about Zimbabwe. I'm talking from personal experience. A 4-star general from America came here a year ago. He wanted to have diverse opinions about what's going on, to see whether there can be business opportunities. He was actually a commander of NATO for one time. He called me from America to come and meet him at the American embassy. I went in there. He arrived. When I was at the gate, I wasn't inside. He went inside, and the American diplomat, the host American diplomat to this illustrious, American general, tells him that you can't meet Mchangu like you want. Why? Because Mr. Biti is here. He thinks that you cannot meet. Can you imagine? The tail of an elephant being worked by a hair. You know, this is Biti telling America who to see and what. Of course, the general stormed out of his embassy and we met elsewhere, because he was angry that America listens to Biti. And it goes on and on. This is the man who then gives the brief to these diplomats, and they look for new excuses. The original Zidera law says, until land is returned to whites in Zimbabwe, America will not allow investments by America. This is the law, until land is returned to whites. You know where the law comes from? This National Security Memorandum number 39 from 1969 by a gentleman who is the most decorated American Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger. He says that in Southern Africa, America must always bet on the side of white minorities. So that is the position of America. They may dissimulate, they may say this or that, but inherently in their approach to Southern Africa, it's racism. And it's very shameful that even a black American diplomat in Pretoria, an American ambassador, repeats this. He can't be like Andrew Young, when he was a diplomat of America who could say, no, I'm black. The victims of Southern African racism and apartheid are black. They are like, I identify them with the civil rights movement of America. We were black who were being victimized. No, they all ape this nonsense that sanctions are about democracy, are about human rights, are about this. They get confronted about Khashoggi and the relationship between America and Saudi Arabia, and they are lost for words. They are lost for words. Because some things which are being done elsewhere about human rights are much worse than what Zimbabwe is doing. But no, we have a different mark sheet. Why? Because we defeated white racism and apartheid. And we retrieved our land from settlers who had come from the Anglo-Saxon world. So for that doctrine of original sin, we are fated to be enemies of American foreign policy. So it's said we expect more from American diplomats. They administer an act of their parliament which has caused so much suffering to the people of Zimbabwe over 2 decades. At least when they go to the press, they should read. At least when they go to the press, they should follow what the United Nations is saying. At least when they go to the press, they should respect the views of African heads of states. This is the minimum we would expect from America, but that press conference was totally disappointing. And worse, they now arrogate to themselves to become the clearinghouse of investment in Zimbabwe. Can you imagine they are saying any company which feels that it is going to Zimbabwe and it is unsure about how our sanctions apply, they should come and consult us, then we can give him guidance. There are 300, 200 countries. They are all justing for investment. And I'm an investor. On my way to come to Zimbabwe as a destination, I'm waylaid by a diplomat in Washington who has never invested anything in his whole life. And he wants me to advise how I should go and take risk in Zimbabwe. You think it makes sense? These are the hassles which have made Zimbabwe anathema to American capital. But anyway, we are not bothered now. Capital is flat. We are building steel plants. We are building chrome furnaces. We are building lithium plants with top-class companies in the world. We are crossing the Rubicon. We are crossing the Jordan with or without American capital. We wish it could be here because for us capital has no color, has no creed, has no religion. And when American capital comes, it can do wonders. Unfortunately, it is being hobbled in this exciting country, which is Zimbabwe. We pay the price, but ultimately also American business pays an even heavier competition loss price. That's why today's trade with China is $254 billion, two-way trade, and the trade between America and Africa is $60 to $70 billion. And shrinking. Maybe the only thing which we shall see about America and Africa is their military boots in all over the place fighting terrorism. You know, war on terror until they get to Afghanistan. Then they withdraw unceremoniously. We really wish the Biden administration could pay more attention to the overtures of Zimbabwe. We want to be on good relations with America. It's an important country which plays a very decisive an important, not decisive, role in capital markets. We want American technology here. We want American industries here. We want the huge American market accessible to Zimbabwe. That way, Zimbabwe will become a prosperous country. And if they also could just pay heed to South Africa, they want to be a partner of South Africa, the most important country on the African continent. It is saying sanctions are wrong. If you can't listen to South Africa on the African, who do you want to listen to? And by the way, that's why we were so keen to support South Africa to be free. Your parents, young people who are here, they paid taxes to support the ANC liberation movement in its fight against apartheid. We wanted Big Brother to be part of the African continent. And today it is the case. It was exhilarating today when Minister Pandu, my favorite, she was at a conference in Europe. They talked about Russia and the Wagner Group. She says, oh, You are talking of private players. How about governments which have never wished Africa well? She answered them. It's good to have that kind of gumption. And that's why we are so happy that South Africa has increasingly become the spokesman of the African continent, and along the way, defending the cause of Africa in a forthright and honest manner, with candor. That is called telling truth to power. That's what South Africa is doing, speaking truth to power. So this is, by and large, our press conference today, mainly to repudiate, to rebuff the ill-considered statements by American diplomats concerning sanctions on Zimbabwe. We wish them to take their job more seriously than they did yesterday. And maybe next time they will be able to answer, and out of honest answers, there can be room to be informed so that there can be progress between Washington and Zimbabwe in the re-engagement and engagement policy of President E.D. Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I forgot, I overlooked one thing. Because it looks like that the elections are going to be a washout against the ill-organized, against the unorganized and unorganizable CCC opposition. Not they are unorganized, but they are also unorganized by self-confession. They don't want. What is out there is to try to denigrate the democratic process of Zimbabwe. There are provocations which are going on. There are incidents which are happening in Matabeleland 2 days ago, which are reminiscent of what happened in Nyatsime, where people are trying to provoke intra-party violence, intra-community animosities. We again call upon the CCC to desist from that kind of conduct. It will not help them. We are a state which was founded on the basis of an armed struggle. We know discipline. We know how to handle violence. We handled the violence of the Ian Smith, which was much more potent and formidable, and we overcame. We don't want violence anymore. We all, the gun used to be part of my life for 5 years. It was like an extension of my arm. If you give me an AK-47 today, I would not want to have anything to do with it. That's what we did. We put our guns down and became the most peaceable country. Even notwithstanding that we were carrying guns all over the country for 5 years. We don't want violence. And our president is on record against violence. We want to tell the CCC, do not be tempted to provoke violence. Give space to those who are responsible for law and order, who are the police, so that they do their job properly. And we also want to tell the newspapers and all those detractors who ask Zanu PF each time something happens, and they are primed to do so, because they are the ones who probably are instigators. We had people following with cameras and they were claiming that bullets were being fired. Since when has somebody had the courage of following, of dodging bullets whilst you are holding on? Who said a camera lens cannot be shot by a bullet? So this is the work of agents provocateurs, people who want to use situations, and then the next thing is my phone is flooded with all the questions from all over the world. The usual, and the question, and it's the same people who are asking about this or that. And they ask me about, so Hopewell, what do we do with Hopewell? I know Hopewell. I know him so well. We are, we personally, we are on very good terms. But I know his tendentious side. Yeah, so you want me now to comment about somebody I know so well? I will embarrass you about it because you are using him as your instrument. So please, 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 CCC, let's give the people of Zimbabwe a chance to go to the election without any unduly provoked incidences of violence. You are trying to do it because you are afraid of the election, so you want to denigrate the election by bringing extraneous issues ahead of the election. Let's keep extraneous issues away, go and campaign freely, and lose properly. Because that's what is going to happen next year. The teachers said it so yesterday. They said so in their multitudes. The MCCC is going to lose. I just want to add one more thing about the American. I have a history of working with the American diplomats on sanctions. I've been to the State Department before, in 2012. And my efforts together with a serious American diplomat then resulted in some banks being removed from sanctions, including ZB Bank, including Agribank, including IDBZ, I think. These were diplomats who saw their work who decides their work with integrity. I think Secretary of State Blinken would do well to go into the archives of some of the achievements of American diplomats when they mean well on the issue of Zimbabwe. And he can mine on that goodwill so that we can carry our relationship to a new level. Continuing to have a derogatory diplomacy against Zimbabwe, which is driven by tendency, is not helpful for relations between Washington and Harare.